Welcome back to our channel History Coins HD. As you that old is gold, but these rare $quarter coins that are most valuable than you think, don't spend one of them. You're lucky if you have one of these, so please watch complete video and find your treasure. Let's start this. Top 1, where coins aren't just currency, they're history, art, and sometimes a hidden fortune. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe, because today we're diving into a piece of American heritage that might be sitting in your change jar right now, and it could be worth a life-changing amount. Let's take a journey into the world of the 1776 to 1976 Washington quarter. This coin isn't just special because it's part of America's bicentennial celebration. It's special because some versions of it, rare, overlooked, and highly sought after, can be worth an unbelievable amount of money today. Now, if you've ever seen one of these quarters, you probably remember its unique design. It doesn't look like your typical Washington quarter. On one side, it still features George Washington's familiar profile. But flip it over, and you'll see something different, something iconic. A majestic colonial drummer stands proudly on the reverse side, with a victory torch encircled by 13 stars above him. It's a tribute to the original 13 colonies and to the spirit of revolution and independence that shaped the nation. That design wasn't just thrown together. It was selected from a national competition held in the mid-1970s as the United States approached its 200th birthday. The idea was to create something special, something memorable, and they succeeded. Millions of these quarters were minted and released into circulation, sparking a collecting craze back in the day. But here's the catch: not all 1776 to 1976 quarters are created equal. See, there are different types of these bicentennial quarters. Most were made for everyday use and struck in a copper-nickel clad composition. You'll still find those floating around today in pocket change and coin jars. But then there's the rarer, more valuable kind, those struck in 40% silver. These silver quarters were never meant for wide circulation. They were produced for collectors and sold in special sets. Over time, many of those sets were broken up, lost, or forgotten, and finding one of those silver coins, especially in pristine, untouched condition, is no easy task. But wait, it gets even more exciting. Among those silver bicentennial quarters, some were struck in proof or uncirculated sets with extraordinary sharpness and mirror-like finishes. A few even contain minting errors, struck on the wrong metal planchet, missing elements, double dies, or off-center strikes. These kinds of errors are incredibly rare, and when they show up at coin shows or auctions, collectors go absolutely wild. So, how do you know if you've got the real treasure? Start by checking the edge. If your 1776 to 1976 quarter has a silvery edge instead of the usual copper line, there's a good chance you've got the 40% silver version. Look closely at the details. The sharper and cleaner the strike, the better. Proof coins will have a mirror-like surface with frosted images, and error coins will usually have something visibly unusual, like a doubled image or misaligned design. And of course, condition is everything. A coin that's been kept in pristine, mint-state condition, untouched by the wear of everyday circulation, is the holy grail for collectors. Collectors are especially interested in coins graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC. A top-grade silver bicentennial quarter, especially one with a mint error or in flawless proof condition, could fetch jaw-dropping prices at auction. These coins are more than just nostalgic artifacts, they're serious investments. And now, imagine this: you're digging through an old coin jar, flipping through a dusty album, or maybe going through a relative's collection. You pick up a shiny quarter from 1976. You flip it. You see that colonial drummer. You run a few tests, maybe get it appraised. And suddenly, you're not just holding a coin, you're holding a rare piece of American history that could be worth a small fortune. So, just how much could one of these rare Washington quarter dollars from 1776 to 1976 be worth today? In certain cases, particularly if it's a silver-clad proof coin with a minting error engraded at the highest levels, it could be worth as much as $75,000. Yes, you heard that right. $75,000. From a single quarter. That's the magic of coin collecting. What seems ordinary can turn out to be extraordinary. So next time you're handed change or going through your old coins, take a closer look. That simple Washington quarter just might be the most valuable thing you've ever touched. If you enjoyed this story and want to hear more about rare coins that could be hiding in plain sight, give this video a thumbs up, subscribe for more treasure hunts like this one, and don't forget to hit the bell so you never miss a future find. Top 2, we're diving into a quarter that's often overlooked, quietly hiding in plain sight. It might be sitting in your pocket, your glove box, or an old piggy bank gathering dust. But what if I told you that a seemingly ordinary 1988 Washington quarter, specifically one with a small letter D, could actually be worth a staggering amount of money? That's right, we're talking about the 1988 D Washington quarter. At first glance, it looks like any other quarter. It's not flashy. It's not silver. It doesn't commemorate a major historical event like the bicentennial. But behind its humble appearance lies a surprising secret. Certain rare versions of this coin have become some of the most sought-after collectibles in the numismatic world. Let's start with the basics. The D mint mark below the date means this coin was minted in Denver. In 1988, millions upon millions of quarters were struck at the Denver Mint and released into circulation. So naturally, people assume these coins are common, and most of them are. But as collectors know, it's not just about the date or the mint, it's about the details. The Washington quarter has been a staple of American pocket change since 1932. The obverse shows a proud profile of George Washington, the first president of the United States. The reverse, at the time, still featured the traditional bald eagle, wings spread wide, perched on a bundle of arrows with olive branches underneath, a symbol of peace and military strength. Classic, clean, and distinctly American, but not all coins roll off the presses perfectly. And that's where this story gets interesting. In 1988, a number of the Denver minted Washington quarters were struck with subtle errors. We're talking about things like double dies, off-center strikes, weak mint marks, and misaligned designs. On top of that, a few ultra-rare pieces were struck on the wrong planchet, using metal blanks intended for other coins. These minting mistakes are rare, and they make all the difference when it comes to value. You see, coin collectors are obsessed with these types of errors. They aren't flaws, they're miracles. Minting errors turn a regular coin into a one-of-a-kind collectible. And when those errors happen on a coin that's already over 3 decades old, still in pristine condition, that's when things really start to heat up. But rarity isn't the only factor. Condition is just as important. Most of the 1988 D quarters you'll find today have been tossed around for years, scratched, worn, faded. But if you find one that's in what collectors call mint state, meaning it looks as fresh as the day it was made, it could be worth far more than face value. And here's where it gets even crazier. Some of these rare 1988 D quarters have been found with a full strike, deep luster, sharp details, and even unusual planchet compositions. A few examples have been certified and graded by top-tier services like PCGS and NGC as MS67 or higher. That's a near-perfect grade, and it's extremely rare for a coin that was meant for everyday circulation. Now picture this, you're going through your old change, or maybe helping a family member clean out their attic. You find an old coin jar and start sorting through it. A shiny 1988 quarter catches your eye. It's got a D on it. You flip it around, hold it to the light, and notice something different, maybe a sharpness in the design, maybe a slight misalignment, maybe an unusually clean surface. You decide to get it appraised, maybe send it off for grading, then the report comes back. And suddenly, you're not just holding any quarter. You're holding something rare. Something valuable. Something that could change your day, or your entire year. So just how much can one of these rare 1988 D Washington quarters be worth if it has the right combination of rarity, condition, and error? Are you ready for it? A truly exceptional 1988 D Washington quarter, especially one with a rare mint error in mint state condition, can be worth as much as $68,000. That's right. $68,000. From a single quarter. It just goes to show that treasure doesn't always come in gold bars or buried chests. Sometimes it's hiding in plain sight, right in your pocket or buried in a pile of spare change. So before you spend that next quarter, take a closer look. You might just be holding a piece of American minting history, and maybe even a small fortune. If you enjoyed this video and want to uncover more amazing stories about rare and valuable coins, don't forget to like, subscribe, and tap that bell so you never miss an episode. This is more than a hobby, it's a treasure hunt. And the next big find could be yours. Top 3. We're digging into a coin that might be sitting unnoticed in your kitchen drawer or jammed between couch cushions. A coin that looks like just another quarter, until you take a closer look. I'm talking about the mysterious and surprisingly valuable 1965 Washington quarter. And now, at first glance, there's nothing particularly special about a 1965 quarter. No fancy design. No shiny silver glint. Just a plain old coin, right? Wrong. There's a reason why collectors across the country, and even around the world, are obsessed with the 1965 quarter. Because what most people don't know is that this humble coin marks one of the biggest turning points in the history of US coinage. Let's rewind a bit to I. In the early 1960s, silver prices began to soar. The value of the metal inside coins was starting to exceed their face value. People were hoarding silver coins left and right, pulling them out of circulation and stockpiling them. The government had to act fast before the nation literally ran out of coins. So in 1965, a major change was made. The US Mint stopped making dimes, quarters, and half dollars out of 90% silver. Instead, they switched to a copper-nickel clad composition that makes 1965 the very first year the quarter was produced without any silver in it. Or, was it? Here's where the story gets really interesting. During that transition from silver to clad, the mints were still finishing up their final runs of 1964 silver quarters. And in that overlap, a few rare errors slipped through the cracks. Somehow, a small number of 1965 dated quarters were accidentally struck on leftover 90% silver planchets meant for 1964 coins. Let that sink in. A 1965 quarter, struck with the new date, but made using the old silver metal. That's a mistake that should never have happened, but it did. And these rare error coins are now worth a fortune. So how can you tell if your 1965 quarter is one of these rare silver planchet errors? First, check the edge. Most clad quarters have a visible copper-colored line running around the edge. But a silver quarter will have a clean, solid edge with no trace of copper. Hold it to the light. Listen to the sound it makes when dropped on a table. A silver quarter has a distinctly higher pitched ring compared to a duller-sounding clad coin, and then, there's the weight. A standard 1965 clad quarter weighs about 5.67 grams. But a silver planchet error will weigh around 6.25 grams, almost a full gram heavier. If you've got a precise scale, this tiny difference could be your first clue that you're holding something incredibly rare. But wait, there's more to this story. Even among the silver planchet errors, there are variations. Some have been found with nearly perfect strikes, others with partial minting anomalies, and a few with the faintest hint of a ghostly double image. These rare combinations are what collectors dream of, and then there's condition. As always, the better the condition, the higher the value. If your 1965 quarter has been sitting untouched for decades in an old coin album or a forgotten safe, it could be in nearly mint state. That bumps up its worth tremendously. And now imagine this: you're sorting through a forgotten roll of quarters, maybe inherited from a relative or found at a garage sale. You see a 1965 quarter and almost toss it aside. But something catches your eye. The shine. The edge. The sound. You pull out a scale. You weigh it. And that's when it hits you: this might not be an ordinary coin at all. This could be one of the rarest errors in US Mint history. Collectors, dealers, and auction houses are always on the hunt for these elusive coins. And when they do show up, the bidding wars can get intense. These quarters have been known to sell for more than the cost of a brand new car, a year of college tuition, or even a down payment on a house. So just how much could one of these rare 1965 Washington quarters be worth if it's a genuine silver planchet error, in excellent condition, and verified by a trusted grading service? Here it is. A true 1965 silver quarter in pristine, collectible condition has sold at auction for as much as $80,000. That's right. $80,000. From a single coin that most people wouldn't even think twice about. So the next time you come across an old quarter, take a second look. History and fortune might be staring back at you from the palm of your hand. If you found this story fascinating, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you never miss another rare coin reveal. There's a world of forgotten treasure out there. Let's discover it together. Top 4. We're diving into a coin that millions of people have seen, spent, and probably forgotten about. But if you've got a sharp eye and a bit of luck, this ordinary piece of change might just be your ticket to something truly extraordinary. I'm talking about the 1990 Washington quarter, specifically the version with a tiny letter P just above the date. Now, I know what you're thinking: 1990? That's not that old. And you're right, it's not ancient, and it's not silver. It wasn't part of any special commemorative series. It looks like just another quarter you'd use to feed a parking meter or buy a gumball. But here's the twist: certain rare versions of the 1990 P quarter are turning heads in the collecting world. And the story behind why is a fascinating mix of history, minting process, and pure chance. Let's set the stage. In 1990, the Philadelphia Mint, indicated by the P Mint mark, produced hundreds of millions of quarters. These were your everyday coins meant to go straight into circulation. Nothing flashy. Nothing unusual. But among those millions, a tiny number of coins were struck with unexpected variations, errors, or anomalies that make them incredibly rare today. Now, if you've been around the coin collecting community for a while, you know that rarity isn't always about age, it's about uniqueness. The value of a coin comes from how few like it exist, how sharp the details are, and whether there's something that sets it apart from the rest of the pack. So what makes the 1990 P Washington quarter so special? Let's talk about minting errors. In the world of coins, errors are like lightning strikes, rare, unpredictable, and absolutely thrilling when you find one. Some 1990 P quarters were struck with off-center designs, while others were made with weak strikes or filled dies that caused key features to disappear. And then there are the heavy hitters, the ones that were mistakenly struck on the wrong metal planchets, or show doubled images where the design was imprinted more than once. One of the most sought-after variants involves quarters struck on planchets intended for other coins, like dimes, foreign currency, or even experimental blanks. These types of errors can slip through quality control and make it into circulation completely unnoticed. It's the kind of mistake that the mint tries to avoid at all costs, but when it does happen, it creates a coin that collectors will pay top dollar for even without major errors. A flawless 1990 P quarter in mint state condition, meaning no scratches, no wear, and perfect surfaces, can carry significant value. Most of the coins from that year were used, abused, dropped, and scraped for decades. Finding one that looks brand new, especially one graded MS67 or higher by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC, is like finding a needle in a haystack. Now picture this: you're going through your spare change. Maybe it's from an old drawer, a forgotten jar, or just leftover coins from a long-forgotten road trip. You see a 1990 quarter and you almost pass it by. But then something stops you. You look closer. The details are sharp. The mint mark is clean. The edge has no copper ring. The whole coin just looks different. That's the kind of moment collectors dream of. A coin that stands out from the rest, one that hasn't aged like the others. And if you're lucky, if your quarter just happens to be one of those rare 1990 P issues with a striking error, or in near perfect uncirculated condition, then what you're holding could be more than just a 25-cent piece. It could be a collector's gem. A hidden treasure. A coin with a story, a mistake, and a mystery wrapped in metal. And now comes the part you've been waiting for, because yes, one of these rare 1990 P Washington quarters, graded at the highest levels, with a rare minting anomaly, has been valued and sold at auction for a jaw-dropping price. A single coin. A regular old quarter from 1990 with a P Mint mark. Sold for as much as $65,000. That's right. $65,000. From a coin you could have gotten as change at a gas station. It just goes to show, never underestimate the value of what's in your pocket. Because sometimes, history, rarity, and a little minting magic come together to turn something ordinary into something unforgettable. So the next time you're sorting through your change, slow down. Flip each coin. Check the date. Look for the details. Because the next big discovery might not be buried underground or locked in a vault, it might be sitting right there in your palm. If you love this story and want to uncover more hidden treasures, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and tap the bell so you never miss a chance to learn about the coins that could change your life. Top 5. We're unlocking the secrets of one of the most underestimated coins in modern U.S. history, the 1996 D Washington quarter. At first glance, this coin doesn't look out of the ordinary. It's not ancient, it's not made of silver, and it doesn't commemorate a major historic event. In fact, you might have dozens of these just lying around. But don't let appearances fool you. There's more to this coin than meets the eye, and if you happen to have the right version, it could be worth a small fortune. Let's rewind the clock for a moment. 1996 was a typical year in American coinage. The Denver Mint, represented by the small D Mint mark just above the date, produced hundreds of millions of quarters that year. These coins were made for everyday use: vending machines, gas stations, parking meters. Nothing flashy. But here's where things get interesting, because within that sea of ordinary quarters, a handful of rare coins slipped through the cracks. We're talking about errors. We're talking about anomalies. We're talking about the rare 1996 D Washington quarters that collectors will pay a premium to. OWN.to understand why, you first have to understand the minting process. Coins are mass-produced with incredible speed and precision, but sometimes, mistakes happen. A die might crack. A planchet might be the wrong size or metal. The alignment might be off. And when that happens, the result is a coin that's truly one of a kind. Now imagine one of those rare errors occurring during the 1996 Denver production run. Maybe a quarter was struck on a nickel planchet. Maybe it was misaligned, or the image was doubled. These aren't the kinds of things you'd notice at a quick glance, but to a trained eye or a lucky collector, they stand out like gold. And then there's the holy grail, finding a 1996 D quarter in absolutely pristine condition. Most coins from that year have been through decades of wear and tear. They've been dropped, scraped, and passed through countless hands. So finding one that's still in mint state, with sharp details and untouched luster? That's a challenge, and it makes the coin far more valuable. But here's the thing, it's not just minting errors or condition that drives up the value. Sometimes, it's a perfect storm of both. A rare error, in flawless condition, graded by a top-tier service like PCGS or NGC at MS67 or higher, that's the kind of coin that sets the collecting world on fire. And now, let's bring this closer to home. Picture yourself sifting through an old jar of change. Maybe it's something you inherited, or a collection you've forgotten about. You're not expecting much, but then you see it. A quarter from 1996. With a D mint mark. It catches the light a little differently. You look closer. The design looks sharper. Maybe the edges are crisper. Maybe the weight or sound seems off. And that's the moment. That spark of curiosity. The possibility that you might be holding something incredibly rare, because make no mistake, these coins are out there. Not many, but enough to keep collectors searching and dreaming. They show up in auctions. They show up in private collections. And when they do, they make headlines. So now for the big question. How much could one of these rare 1996 D Washington quarters be worth? If you happen to come across one of these rare variants, especially a coin with a significant minting error, in near perfect condition, certified and graded by professionals, it could be worth as much as $55,000. That's right. $55,000. For a quarter that was minted less than 30 years ago, it just goes to show, treasure isn't always buried deep. Sometimes, it's hiding right in your change jar. So the next time you're going through your coins, don't overlook the ordinary, because what looks common might just be the jackpot. If you found this story fascinating, make sure to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell so you don't miss our next rare coin spotlight. We've got tons more coin mysteries, values, and discoveries coming your way.